Ooh, man, let's start the show.
Yes, absolutely. How are things going? I feel like I always give you an iteration of that question at the beginning of every episode, so I need to keep doing it.
I think you know how they're going,
I
Sean.
do, actually. Things have been... I mean,
you don't
up until
ever
like...
listen to me.
Up until a couple days ago, it was kind of rough. But, I mean, today, it's looking
So
up.
finally getting paid.
Yeah, finally getting paid. Getting those Trump bucks.
Getting those Newsom dollars and those...
Newsom dollars and Trump bucks.
Trump
absolutely.
bucks.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see when I get the Trump bucks.
Newsom cash.
Yeah, it was crazy. So they... I was telling our audience here that I'd log into the IRS portal and it just said I didn't exist, and then I just randomly tried it I tried it every day, but on the 24th it randomly goes, oh yeah, you're good to go.
We're mailing
so
it
then,
to you.
Yeah, well, no, not that yet. So then,
okay.
then they were like, okay, now put in your income. Like they wanted all this information. I'm like, there's just like, why do you need all this shit? And then, so I typed in my income for 2018 for my tax returns, and then they go, oh, this doesn't match our records. I'm like, it doesn't match your records. You have the record. And then I find out, then it locks me out of the system for 24 hours. And then I have to find out that they wanted your gross adjusted income. So after I write things off as the income that it wanted, but it didn't say that on the website. And then the next day was my birthday, so I didn't do it again. And then on the 26th, I logged in again. And it's like, oh, yeah, we just mailed it to you. So it gave me 2 days to actually put in the direct deposit information. But it says it'll be mailed May 1st. So I'm curious to check it on May 1st to see if it gives me like a we did send it notification or something. Because if they mail it on May 1st, which is what it says it's going to do, it shouldn't take that long for it to get to me.
Oh, you know what? For Friday, maybe I can visit my parents sometime this week to get my letter that Trump would have written to us. That'll be fun to have.
Well, I'll have that too. So I think
that's true.
Yeah, when I get the Trump bucks in that, they said we're mailing you that letter and then the Trump bucks. But I think it'll be fun to actually show the check with his signature on it.
Do you mind twisting my sound nipple a little bit? I feel like there we go. Now I can hear myself. That's great.
Yeah, it's just these I got Sean these monitors as well.
Hell yeah.
And the theme song is so loud and they don't really have any low end, so it's just like it's all the high end is just kind of blasting your ears.
It sounds like any song you hear on the radio these days.
Yes.
Any trap song.
Yes, any trap. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, how was your birthday, Jordan?
It was good. It was very mellow.
Very mellow?
We made Chinese food and we drank sangria and we watched Chinatown and I fell asleep.
We made an iteration of Greg's cocktail. That was
yes.
like a white sangria-ish. It was so good.
Yeah, we did it a little different than Greg's, but same intention.
Yeah.
And same destination.
Yeah, absolutely. Passed out. Actually, we didn't eat until like midnight because we took that long we had to slow cook the meat and then the dough I had to roll out one by one. That was a task that I don't think I was prepared for. We'd have to probably start cooking at like noon next time. Yeah. To get it done on time. Start the pork at noon. Take it out by 3:30 and then start rolling out the dough. Yeah.
It was all tasty though.
It was great. I finished mine the other day. My leftovers. It's delish.
Yeah, I finished mine yesterday. Yeah.
So how does it feel being 21?
Feels good to do it again.
Do it again.
I enjoyed it the first time and I'm enjoying it again.
8 or 9 times over.
So I wanted to start out with something.
Oh, great. I didn't know you had a path for us. Oh.
I would get much more engaged in the world. We can't step back. If, in fact, for example, we solve the problem in the United States of America and you don't solve it in other parts of the world, you know what's going to happen. You're going to have travel bans. You're going to not be able to have economic intercourse around the world. There's a lot. Look, when America goes alone, when America is first, it's America alone. And
it's as if like.
Jumping on my lap.
All right, our Biden segment.
Jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. Pop was a bad.
Okay.
So, it first of all, he still can't put together a fucking coherent sentence.
No, it's getting worse.
And why do they keep having him on? It's so embarrassing, and it looks awful. And then he was on with his wife the other day.
I think it's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he like disappears, then I think the whole thing is just trying to, the optics of him being alive and out front and present during all this, because he really doesn't have an angle to dunk on Trump and like in terms of the response, generally speaking. Like none of them are really landing for me personally anyway. But yeah, but every time he does these events or these town halls, whatever the fuck these are, they're just so fucking painful. But like what I love about this clip in particular is you see when he crosses his arms like this.
Yeah.
It's like a little boy, like giving like a if I turn the sound off and just play this part of it, it's like my mommy told me I couldn't have cookies anymore, and the milk is not good, and it's like he's a little child.
He's just so it's so embarrassing at this point. Just fucking.
Well, then then we got just in
the
land of misguided. We get Hillary Clinton
in a town hall with him, and he fell asleep during it. Did you see that?
I don't think he fell asleep, but it looked like he did.
He so fell asleep.
Yeah. He
was looking down like this, eyes closed. He wasn't nodding or anything like you would if you were actively listening to somebody.
No.
He was definitely fucking asleep.
I mean, who wouldn't? She's like, and honestly, whose opinion matters less right now than Hillary Clinton?
Oh, I know.
It really, and I think that what's been fun to watch is, again, like, finally public opinion has turned on her.
I know,
like,
right?
with the exception of like 17 different Karens on Twitter that are just like, oh, she's Madam President.
Oh yeah, the Charlotte Climbers.
It's her
of the world.
Oh my God, Charlotte
the
Climbers.
ultimate Karen.
Yeah, she is the ultimate Karen.
Yeah,
like she had to become a woman to become the ultimate Karen. It's unbelievable.
She wanted to be Karen so bad.
It's just unreal.
Yeah.
Dallas. Oh man, I thought you liked me, America. Actually, Joe, we never did. You've been foisted upon us.
Yeah. We didn't vote for you in 2008. We voted for Obama.
And they're going to just...
You just came with them.
They're going to replace him. I find this shit so boring, generally speaking, because it's just like... the outcome is going to suck really either way, so who cares?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in this weird... like, I'm almost like... I want him to lose more, which is like a really weird position to be in. It's just kind of like... I'm willing to just let the dice roll on this one to just see how Because like at this point, I don't see any way... through which we can have any sort of positive structural change if the whole thing just doesn't implode.
Right.
And so I'm almost rooting for that to happen, and hopefully I just survive the civil unrest that comes along with that, which is coming.
Yep.
It's going to get really dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I and then again, it's like we all know what's going to happen, which is like he's going to get replaced by somebody we don't want even more, like Cuomo. And
what about a Clinton Kamala ticket?
Oh my God, can you fucking imagine? Well, and then what I've also heard too, and it's so painful that it's true, is that like there's a lot of, I don't think it's legitimate, but there's rumblings that he or whoever he's replaced with would pick Michelle Obama as his running mate.
Oh my God.
And she'd probably do well, and that's what I hate about this country
so much. Oh my God.
So
That's funny. Well, the thing is, like, I'm not mad at Michelle Obama. I'm upset with, like, Obama's presidency. I just
don't
like
want either of them anywhere near the White House.
I know. Where does the vice president live? Don't they live like on campus, on the White House
with
campus?
Their husband or wife?
White House University.
Yeah,
it's just a fraternity.
Yeah, I don't know
the actual White House, the Capitol building.
Yeah, Melania built her little baby voice she shed. Cloth.
It's all pink and like. You go in, it's like it's got like the easy bake appliances. she has to crouch to like make dinner.
It's like a documentary series filmed like The Office, and it's like we couldn't give Melania a real oven, so we gave her the light bulb ones. This is my oven. It's easy bake.
We want you to find the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture.
In this one, I bake my glowing gummy worms.
Oh shit! I always wanted one of those as a kid, where you would pour the goo and you would make like a gummy worm out of it.
Yeah, no, my parents would never let me have it. No,
I know. I wanted to know what those tasted like. So fucking
what was the name
bad.
of that? Because it wasn't Easy Bake. Easy Bake was for girls, and we had the boys version.
Goo shooters.
I think that's another thing. That's a video I watched the other day.
It was something like creepy crawlers, creepy. There was something where like it was for boys. It was like a boys cooking thing, and you would make little like gummy. This is just gonna give us like easy bake shit.
No,
but you would make little gummies of like spiders and worms and gross little creatures, like creepy creatures. What the fuck is it? I mean, it's like a slime. It's a slime, but slime is so different now.
Wait,
it's
boy-friendly Easy Bake Oven.
What do you mean boy-friendly?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to now gender everything for girls, so boys can play with girls' toys. This isn't social engineering at all.
Easy bake ovens have always been boy friendly. I loved easy bake ovens. I never had one, of course.
I think it's one of those things. My parents had the foresight to go. Our son's not gonna be a faggot. No, they they had the foresight to be like, he's gonna just not use this. Like he'll see how much effort is gonna go into baking one chocolate chip cookie with a light bulb, and he'll give up on this in about 4 minutes. Or probably get salmonella or something.
When I was a kid, like I loved Hot Wheels, but I think I've actually mentioned this on the show before. I had these little like frog figurine things that I loved. They were like a little bit bendy. They were a little pliable, and they were just fun to like. I would get them from my dentist's office. You would reach into the prize bucket and take out whatever you got, and I always like looked for the little froggy, and I would take a new one home every time I went. I feel like that because I would imagine scenarios with these little froggies. And I feel like that's an indication that I was maybe like a bit more creative than a little straight boy, you know, because the gays were kind of
we're on top of it.
We're kind of inherently, we have an inherent bone that's a bit more creative, right? So we have the capability of being creative.
Well, it's like, I mean, you know, you can name so many great thinkers or artists of our time, and it's always like, okay.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I had a big baby brain, which just so happened to be gay and creative, and that makes me better than every other baby that's ever existed. I could fist fight any baby in one.
I'm so grateful to be fucking a small toddler.
A big brain small toddler.
Big brain small tiny toddler.
I mean, I did just turn 16.
Toddler holes.
So
Jacob Larson says, I'm here. What's the numbers, Jacob? Give me the numbers.
It's like a bingo wheel thing.
Yeah, give me those. How many are dead in the streets? God. So let's see here. So on the last, I kind of shot my wad on the last episode with my black pilling you all on techno tyranny.
Oh yeah.
So I want to cover one more thing of seeing this in real time. So real quickly, this sound, and we're gonna show you this. I just wanted to use that sound. I put it in there.
Have we used it before?
No, I forgot. I had it in there last time, but I forgot to play it. But yeah, check this video out.
Hi.
I'm Deputy Everhart with the Sheriff's Department. So, are you aware that we're in a stay-at-home order right now?
Yeah, obviously.
By the government?
Yes, I am aware.
Okay, you're aware of that?
I am aware.
So I don't need to explain that to you?
No, you don't need to explain that to me.
I can if you need me to.
You can
asshole.
because your officer was just here 2 weeks ago.
Okay, do you need me to
and
explain
he explained it to me that you guys weren't enforcing that order.
Oh, we're about to.
Okay.
So you understand it, though?
Okay, so why are you here?
Because your daughter is going to play at other people's home, and you're allowing it to happen.
They were over here as well. So, are you here?
They've been talked to about it. So
no, I understand. Okay.
And so either you can acknowledge it or you can argue.
I'm acknowledging it.
Okay, stop having your kid go by other people's home.
Okay, I acknowledged it. Anything else?
Nope, that was it. Apparently, there was some other.
I acknowledged it. I acknowleded it.
Fucking get out of here.
Yeah, I need your last name. Amy, what's your last name?
I'm not. Is there a reason you're asking for it?
I'm adding you to the screen so we can document that we
Jones. Fucking.
Is there a reason
just
for
no.
it?
Say no.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. If you let me finish, that's what I'm explaining.
They're so condescending too.
I hate.
I haven't violated an order.
We're gonna have documentation in our screen.
There's nothing illegal about what she did.
Yeah. Talking to you about that you said you just acknowledged.
Okay.
So then there's documentation.
I would like to see the law that requires me to give you that information.
Yeah, just fucking talk circles around them because they cannot.
They have no
recourse.
This is so unconstitutional as it is.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I'm required to give that to you. Are we done here?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Your middle initial and your last name.
I'm not giving
Oh my god.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Okay. Perfect. We got it.
Okay.
And that'll be documented too that you're uncooperative.
Okay.
So
fucking
there's
Christ, dude. That made my blood boil.
There's the jackboot brown shirts that are going to enforce this techno tyranny.
Right, these fucking simpletons who know no different. That they're just so like indoctrinated and brainwashed into
and just not even thinking about
power.
It's a violation of every one of her constitutional rights. I mean,
absolutely,
it's absolutely unreal.
This is the reason to call all cops pigs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you're going to see lots of that. Can you read Nianoni's comment, which is really funny, and then can you read Gio's?
My Uncle Klaus bought me an Easy Bake Oven when I was a kid. It was the German version, and it was gigantic. No, I won't let this happen. Not on my sacred podcast.
And then read Gio's comment, and I'll explain that.
The cop. Oh, sorry. I hear the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, is building another one of those German easy pick. That's right.
Well,
I did see this.
Yeah, and what's funny is there was 2 tweets people were comparing next to each other. One of them was de Blasio saying like, "Hey, it's Ramadan, and if you're Muslim and don't have the money for a halal food during this holiday, feel free to reach out to us to get your halal Ramadan food." And the next one was, "You Jews stop gathering right now, or else I'm gonna arrest all of you." Because
that is exactly what he said. And you Jews better fucking stop it.
And I think that what's going to be interesting is it really is going to be a problem for this kind of enforcement.
What's the context again? What were they gathering for?
For a funeral of a rabbi who died of coronavirus, which makes it so fucking hilarious.
Oh, Jesus.
And so the irony is completely lost on these Hasids. And then the other thing is, they're dumb hats and they're garb. But now it's going to become this thing of like, okay, so people are going to be relatively compliant to these cops that are totally out of their bounds of respecting your rights, but religious fanatics will not tolerate this, especially Jews. They're not going to tolerate it.
The funniest part about all this is seeing my Jewish friends being like, "Oh yeah, Hasidic Jews fucking suck."
Right.
They are like they really. This is not my words. I'm not saying this, but like it's like they are very different from what we know as like a secular Jew in America.
And when most Jews that I know are secular, most of them aren't like actively. The holidays they'll go and do whatever, or Passover they'll probably observe that and things like this. But yeah, they any kind of like whiff of orthodoxy, they're like, "I'm out. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't trust these people." That's the other funny part about it. But working in entertainment, everyone's Jew. It's just true. They're just all Jewish. But like many of them are my friends, but like do not adhere to any of the stereotypes. But the thing is like what's gonna butt heads is these people who, you literally, say a Jewish person didn't pay you enough money because they forgot, and they're like, "Is that anti-Semitic?" And it's like, so you know that this group is going to be the one that is the undoing, especially because New York. I don't see New York really getting ahead of it. If we're not even ahead of it, or whatever that even means anymore, I don't know what the fuck that means anymore. But yeah, it's going to be a huge climax between religious groups and these lockdown orders. Do you mind reading the numbers?
Yeah, so this is total cases worldwide. 3.2 million total cases, about 2 million active cases, 1 million recovered, 60,000 serious, and 230,000 dead, which is these numbers have gotten pretty big in the last week since we've recorded.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. is 1 million total cases, 850,000 active cases, 150,000 recovered, 62,000 dead. That's these numbers are a bit more staggering than they were. I remember when you were posting, Jacob, in our chat like weeks ago, and it was like, just like 800 or 8,000 dead. It's like, this is a very large number compared to that.
Yeah, I think that in the U.S. the 61,000 dead now has. It's tough though because we don't really know what they're categorizing as actual COVID deaths, and so, but let's just take it at face value and say that these are just COVID deaths. This has now killed more people than the flu does.
Yeah.
You can't really deny that it appears to be more aggressive than the average flu because considering this many people have died and we've been under lockdown for this long, it's even from normal flu it shouldn't be killing this many people for not even going outside anymore. So something's going on, but how much more water can we put into what we talked about on Wednesday, which was kind of the bookend on all this stuff. So I don't really know what to say.
I don't either.
This is funny.
The cops would never talk that way to residents in a gated community of mansions like Hillary Clinton's in Westchester, New York.
And what's funny about that, so you remember on the last, or I think it was 2 ago, I talked about how Chris Cuomo was faking that whole thing.
Of course.
Now CNN has just totally dropped it, because everyone is now in agreement that he faked his whole emerging from the basement video.
Yep.
And I think that's partly because there was a clip that went kind of semi-viral of him on, because he has a radio show too apparently. I don't know who could handle that much Cuomo. Fuck? But yeah, he had a clip on his radio show where he was talking about how much he hates his job, and it was right around the time that he did this, which is, I think it was what I said at the time when we played that clip, which is CNN got the stupidest person there to take the shittiest job, which is to pretend you have coronavirus so we can have a reporter that has it that we can check in on and document their progress.
Yeah.
And then he can talk about how serious it is, and so they can just, it kind of stirs the panic in everybody, and so people keep tuning into CNN so they can get a brain aneurysm.
That is the only goal of listening to CNN now.
And he says, on the gun boards that I occasionally check out, the notoriously pro-cop bootlickers are finally starting to turn. It's a bit interesting to watch. Yeah.
Look, like, yes, they're not like inherently bad people, but they're collateral damage that will happen when we restructure everything.
Right.
Like we'll have to completely demolish the like local law enforcement, because if they act like that, if state troopers fucking act like that, they're not our allies. They violate our privacies and our rights.
It's a weird thing because it's like there were already so many things like this that the police were able to do that were in such violation of your rights. Like one of the biggest ones that were causing problems there for a minute were no-knock raids. You know what that is?
No.
Where they raid your house without announcing that they're there.
What the fuck?
And they did it.
That's dangerous too.
When it is, and that's the thing is they did it enough times on people who were innocent, and then the person would draw on them because they don't know who the fuck's breaking in their house. They gun the person down, and then they pay out like a tiny settlement to their family. But there were several different cases of this happening when we started to kind of examine whether or not we should even be doing this, because like some of them were just they got the fucking address wrong or whatever.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and so it's gonna probably be a problem because we know civil unrest is coming. I don't think it's looking exactly like what I was sort of anticipating in the beginning of this, but we were all making these kind of grand predictions in the beginning. I don't think I was right. I'm not saying that I was, or that like I'm saying that I was. I'm not really making predictions. I'm just trying to guesstimate on kind of what we're looking at. Because anyone that's making like hard line predictions and doing "I told you so's" is the biggest fucking fruitcake. I hate these people right now. Kind of like with Trump's injecting disinfectant thing, and people going like, he actually meant light therapy, and I'm like, actually, he didn't.
He doesn't even know what light therapy is.
No, and it's a kind of thing with people right now. Like again, the further this gets, and the more scared people get, the more partisan and divided and binary they get. And with the Trump injecting disinfectant comment, that is what he said. He said, you can get disinfected, maybe we can inject it. That's what he said. It was stupid, objectively a stupid thing to say. But simultaneously, he didn't say drink bleach, which is what Joe Biden ran with in his
so fucking cool.
On his tweet, and Hillary
Next
Clinton
president, Joe Biden.
Yeah, and
not happening.
And
He's
first,
not gonna.
Yeah, and Vice President Hillary Clinton. Hillary, I can't say it anymore. I lost it.
I know that was interesting. You did it right before the podcast too. It's just that like, cops are the vehicle by which we are violated, and so they'll have to go.
Right.
That's how I wanted to phrase my point about that. I don't hate cops, but when they do this, I do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's whenever you see them abusing their power.
Yeah.
And it's like, and what was frightening about that one to me was that they were willing to act like that even though they knew they were being filmed.
Yeah, I know. And fucking crazy.
Yeah, so when it starts to escalate, it'll be pretty interesting. Like, and then it's like going to be like, okay, who's the first person to pull the trigger? Because like, it would be tempting to try to defend yourself if those people tried to enter your house over this. If they were not listening to you saying that you are officially out of the bounds, like, I wonder what the legal recourse. I mean, it would be a long, protracted battle in which you'd lose all your money. But it's like, if you were to gun one of them down, because they decided to enter your house over something like that, and you told them they weren't allowed to without a warrant, like, what is your right as a citizen to take force on a police officer if they're not behaving? I mean, you'd lose probably, but I think a lot of these are going to end up happening where people just end up starting to take it into their own hands, which I think is
the beginning of the civil unrest. When we stop trusting our police officers, which I've already reached that point. I don't even see them around here anymore.
What do you
guys think about states opening? Do you think that it is too soon? I feel like people need to go back to work and people aren't staying inside, so you might as well open things back up.
I think that I'm glad that Georgia's doing what they're doing, and Georgia's a good state for it to happen, just because Georgia's rural, but it also has a metropolitan area in Atlanta and Alpharetta and like all those kind of like outlying counties. And Georgia has beaches, so I think that it'll be interesting to kind of see, okay, if Georgia can open up and not have a serious resurgence of the virus, it'll be evidence to know whether or not, like, how we can behave as the rest of the country.
It's a good indicator. It's the scientific method. We just have to sacrifice one of these states in case something bad happens and they get tons of infections. You know, who's been like in the news a lot recently, which state is Iowa, because they have had no stay-at-home order, any kind of like social distancing, any kind of isolation in place. And they have such a low population, but very high rates of COVID-19. And it's like, that's kind of a pretty good indicator of like a rural area. They don't have beaches, but they've probably got like cool lakes or some shit. And people are not staying inside in Iowa. So they have a lot of cases there. I think that's a good indicator too. But to have a state that's been sort of on lockdown reopen, we'll see. It's sort of like the control, you know,
Right.
one that has been on lockdown becoming not on lockdown. I feel like that's a difference. Whereas Iowa has just not been on lockdown. They are kind of the control where you just let it be.
Right. To the second part of Jacob's question, though, I don't really care about people getting back to work and the economy opening back up because the damage was done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, we have caused irreparable damage in even 2 weeks. So,
And it's been what, 6-8 weeks now?
right. And the longer we let this go, like, yeah, people are going to run out of money and get desperate. But at the same time, it's like it will not allow corporations to survive. Because if there's no consumers feeding the system, there's no possible way that any of these people, and everyone's going to default on their debt,
Right.
their mortgages, their car loans, everything's just going to default. And so I kind of want that to happen for like a forced bottom down restructuring of our economy. I encourage it, to be honest. And because at this point, it's like, we're so fucked. Because even if we do go back to work, it's like, what work is there for many of us to return to at this point?
Yeah.
They were so slow and so cheap about the payroll protection loans that I can't, hardly any small businesses I know have got them.
None, actually. You can see like the top small businesses, air quotes
like
around
hedge funds
that,
and shit.
that got the actual the bulk of the money, and it's like businesses that have like hundreds of employees, and I'm like, these are not small businesses. They don't need that.
No.
It's such a disgrace how greedy some of these things are, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want things to, we've said it before, I don't want things to go back to the old normal. Because there's going to be a new one, obviously. We'll never be able to return to the old normal.
That's what I keep asking people is, how much was the old normal working for you? And
or were you a slave to it?
Yeah, most people agree with the latter.
Yeah. I think I was a slave to it. And like even now, and we'll talk about my school a little bit more in a second here, but like even now I feel as though I have more freedom, even though I'm kind of at home and stuck. I don't feel, I don't know, I get to do things the way I want to. Of course I can't go sit at a restaurant, but like, I don't know. It's a normal that I'm hoping will change, and it obviously will. We're not going to return.
Right, and a lot of people are they'll say things like, "Oh yeah, you know, when restaurants open back up, they're just going to be flooded," and like that may be true for a week, maybe, but at the same time,
it won't be enough to restore them.
I'm really convinced, and it's something that I have not heard anyone else talk about other than myself, which is that the psychological damage of all this is going to make people not want to gather around large groups of people anymore.
That's a good point.
Gio says there was a legal case similar to federal agents raiding a ranch and getting shot in the standoff with the owners. Clive and Bundy. I don't think Clive and Bundy shot anyone, but I think they killed him. I could be getting that wrong though. And that was about a what do they call it when the government takes your land? Eminent domain.
Oh, I don't know.
It was an eminent domain dispute, from what I understand.
Interesting.
Ninoni says, if there is massive civil unrest, I really hope that the WN Boogaloo boys, BLA folks, and Antifa retards can put their differences aside just long enough to go full Robespierre on the mainstream media. Yeah, I hope so too. But I think that like how convinced I've seen people concerning these protests and how they're the stupid enemies and not your potential ally. But
right.
I think that once everyone's broke, I think that even the liberals saying that kind of stuff will kind of wake up to the reality that they're in.
Yeah. Luckily, our plan is to put Antifa on the front lines of civil unrest, and so that they take the first few hits
right.
from the police force.
Yeah,
I think
Antifa would make excellent cannon fodder. No. You guys don't have guns. You don't need them. Just get on the front lines. Here's this drum. And
you guys look fucking rad, obviously.
Yeah, you guys got some fucking cool ninja outfits, and here's a little bugle you can play to start
our drummer boys. Yes, they'll be our
just like the
boys.
Civil War, we just put children in the front lines to play drums for us while we
do your part.
Do your part. I'm doing my part. Can you read Nianoni's comment?
There have been cases where innocent men have gunned down cops due to botched no-knock raids, and charges were either dropped or they won at trial. And they should. It's a no-knock raids. I think he means violation.
The cops' charges were dropped.
Wait. Innocent men have gunned down the cops.
Oh.
So
good.
the innocent men got their charges dropped.
Good. That's if you fucking survive it, though.
I know, right? Another question. My mom is a Trump supporter, and she thinks this pandemic cost Trump his re-election. What do you guys think? No.
Nah.
If you got a stimulus check, you also got a letter in the mail from Trump that was like, "Hey, you got my money. Vote for me in the fall." It's like, duh. Everybody's gonna, because they're getting this money. It's like we're not complex enough beings to see it differently. You know?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, oh, well, he gave us money. Why? I mean, this is something good he did. If he does it again, great.
I mean, I think they can dunk on him pretty hard, and like nobody would have responded well to this happening. But I think that they can just dunk on, because like it's so unprecedented. They're trying to compare how they would have handled it. Like, Biden, for example, is trying to say, I would have done
no stimulus check would have been passed.
But people they'll fall for it. So like that's the thing. So they'll fall for what Biden's saying. But the thing is, it's like, I didn't really put much stock in it, but this sexual assault thing is not going away. And the thing is that I think most average kind of moderately intelligent liberal is seeing how, like, the hypocrisy of Kavanaugh compared to this, and it's not really believe all women, and you and I knew it wasn't
right from the start, but
it was a political tool.
And like you said, it's the hypocrisy of it. It's like they have no principles.
Right.
They are empty beings. They're empty shells, or maybe they're just like liquid containers of liquid that if you just pour them, they'll fill whatever,
right,
to use your language. And so of course there's nuance in everything, but the nuance that they said did not exist when it was believe all women, is suddenly present now when it's like, well, we're not going to believe this woman because it's Joe Biden,
Right.
That's just such a fucking
and I love it, like, even
disgrace.
like New York Times came out and said, yeah, we looked into this allegation, it's not credible. And I'm like, on what?
Except for the fact that he
grounds?
touched women and smelled women and
just to be clear,
harassed women.
I don't really care about this. Like, something happened to her, I'm sorry, but I don't. It's like Kavanaugh. I mean, like, I can't prove it. I mean, like, all we really have is we actually have more evidence than we did for Ford. Because like, at least this Tara Reid woman has people corroborating her evidence, and then she has that phone call from her mother and Larry King, which doesn't really say anything, but it's enough of something, I guess, for people.
Did you see that thing circulating on Twitter, how they removed that episode of Larry King?
Yeah.
There's a day in between. It's like in the 90s or something.
Yeah. So it's in the 90s, and what's weird is that, like, when people were looking at the archives of his episodes, there were some Mondays missing, which was probably because he took a Monday off.
Sure.
But this episode was on a Wednesday. So there's no reason for it to be gone.
Yeah, and they actually changed all of the episode numbers too.
Oh my god.
To be like episode 112, skip to 113, but the real 113 is not there, which is where it should have been. On the day, coincidentally, that phone call was on.
Point being is just that the Democratic establishment kind of just feels like the mob now, and it's one of those things of just like. It's going to be hard for rational people to overlook a lot of this stuff. And like, even if you are indifferent to the Tara Reid thing, like I am, it's highlighting, I think, to the average person, like I said, the hypocrisy of the whole movement and how they've been pretending to be, the warriors for the downtrodden, but in reality, they just wanted to capitalize on us suffering and get us to vote for them. So which again, we knew that, but most people just wanted to believe it, and I think it's getting harder for people to believe it anymore. Wait.
Yeah, we read those.
Jacob says, I feel like each place will have spacing rules for a while now, like they won't let bars and movie theaters be packed anymore. I don't think movie theaters are coming back. I think that because I think what's so interesting is there's all this discussion from studios about we're totally working with movie theaters. We're going to totally help you guys out with movies and whatever. But the reality is they're going to if they're running all these experiments right now with these movies that were in theaters, but like The Invisible Man, whatever, and it made a bunch of money. So they're going to look at making money without having to pay a theater to show their film or share profits or whatever. They're going to be like, we're not doing this anymore.
And these things that have like premiered on something like Netflix in the last week or two have just been massive hits. I mean, Ozark came out. What else was that number? Tiger King came out. We watched Midnight Gospel. You watched that movie with Chris Hemsworth. And it's like all of those things are charting right now because people are home. And they're like, oh, let's take advantage of these streaming services. And also the convenience of watching a movie in your own home when you already have access to them. So I don't know.
I prefer that too. I mean, like, I still like going to art house theaters and whatever. I think those will survive because they'll have like independent wealthy donors in the community that will keep them afloat. But I think like AMC, Regal, all these things are all going to go away. And honestly, good riddance. I mean, because it's like, just because you put recliner chairs into your theater doesn't mean you can charge $15 for a ticket, especially like the trial run for all these theater movies that were video on demand. Not whatever you want to call it. I don't know, just on demand. $20, which I think is perfectly reasonable. Because if you think about it, like $20 solo is a little bit more than average for like renting a movie, obviously. But if you have 3 or 4 people there with you, you're it's $5 a piece. So you're paying less than you would have anyway, and you can stop it, start it. You don't have to worry about some fucktard talking in front of you. Like you have a lot more. And that's the thing is like every movie we've gone and seen, there's always somebody just being a little annoying or chewing their popcorn too loud. And it's a movie I care about. Like I'd rather enjoy it in my house.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog, which
Spinach the Hedgehog.
Spinach the Herdhog.
Oh God. Dallas is talking about boomers turning on Trump. He may be doomed. It's hard to say at this point. It depends on the next couple of months if it's Trump's election to lose. I don't think boomers will turn on him. And it's the same point that I had before. And like every boomer that I know is just vindicated by what he's doing right now because they've trusted him blindly, and they will continue to do so if he's doing things that seem to be generally good. I don't think that's going to change.
I think the boomers that would turn on him wouldn't vote for Biden though. They would just not vote.
Yeah.
And
so that's a very good point.
I think what we're going to see is a record low turnout, and then he'll eke out a win.
Speaking of voting, people are still fucking voting. Ohio, Joe Biden won the ballot in Ohio.
I saw that today, and I was like, well, duh. But then also, New York took Bernie off the primary ballot.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, even though he's like
he suspended his campaign. He didn't drop out. But like, what the fuck? How are we still doing this?
And why?
It doesn't matter. No. Like, obviously, he's the only one left, and like, because Bernie suspended his campaign, but like, Biden winning an election should not be a primary, should not be a headline right now. We shouldn't even be voting.
I think it's mostly just a symbolic gesture for people who feel like they're doing some kind of civic duty at this point, which you're not.
No, because civic duty would be to guillotine your law enforcement.
Yeah,
your local law enforcement.
Yeah, kill Kamala Harris.
Yeah, Kamala is a cop.
Yeah, she is.
Might as well.
The Clive and Bundy wasn't about eminent domain. Okay, I got that backwards. He was leasing federal-owned land to feed his cattle and refused to pay. He never owned the land. He was just a freeloader.
Oh my God!
I think you're the one that actually told me that, Nianoni, and I think that like it got lost in the people who were trying to support him by calling it eminent domain. But eminent domain. Sorry. Jacob says, funny, believe all women when it's against a Republican. Now who cares when it's against a Democrat? Well, but I mean the same thing, dude, is like you watch Fox News and they're doing like now they fucking care about this. Of course they don't care about this woman. They don't either. So it's just like, but it just
but they pretend to because exactly. It highlights the fucking hypocrisy and the lunacy of the DNC and the establishment, people who are actively participating in supporting Biden, even though they said believe all women 6 months ago.
Right. I don't even think the liberals that are talking about it a lot, like people like Crystal Ball or like Katie Halper, I don't even think they care. I think they just hate the Democratic establishment so much, and rightfully so, that if this is something that makes them finally out in the open look like the Jeffrey Epstein killing, child trafficking psychos that they are, great, because they're just done. I mean, they're like us. They're just done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done fighting for these people. I'm done getting bullied by them. Like, and the sexual assault thing's actually a very good. Like, any dumb liberal I have to talk to, they're like, "Why are you not voting?" I can just say that now. I'm not going to vote for either person that's been accused of sexual assault.
Yeah.
Whether or not I even believe it.
I'm not going to vote for rapist.
Well, because they can't argue against that now.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have been given this very concrete steel argument of just like I ethically my deep morals just cannot.
My sweet tiny baby heart just will not handle it.
Gio says Biden was half of the team in power in the 2008 recession. Trump needs to hammer in where are the stimulus checks for homeowners then? You gave Wall Street a bailout. What about the American worker? Well, yeah, he can do that, but he's also, I mean, McConnell packed that bill with a bunch of stupid shit too. And so
a lot of us were not really adults during that time, but there were stimulus checks during the 2008.
Like $400.
I know. I think it was like what I saw was like 600 max.
Right.
Which is such a disappointment, but like they tried, it wasn't enough, and they also packed the same thing into that bill.
And the two crises aren't comparable because 2008 was totally Wall Street's fault, and like taking these shit loans and repackaging them as AAA loans when they were like F-rated loans, and then betting on them failing, and so it was totally the fault of these people who just got greedy, like with the concept that started with good intentions, which was to help low-income people buy houses and taking some risk by giving them credit. But then it obviously, like anything good, spirals into a disaster of how can we make even more money on this. But this crisis is different in the sense that it was no one's fault in the U.S. How leveraged the economy was is obviously their fault.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's something he can use, but it can be used back against him because what he let people pack into that bill on the GOP side was as gross, if not potentially more gross, than what Obama did.
Yeah. Speaking
we'll
of,
see though. We have to, time will tell.
Speaking of gross, I want to talk about school stuff right now. There is a class action lawsuit too happening right now against the Cal State University system and against the UC system, and it's rightfully so. Well, first of all, let's talk about the money that the government is giving schools. I think the Cal State system is getting $350 million being dispersed between, I think, like 30 or something schools in California, Cal State schools in California.
Okay.
So what? That means that my school should get $10 million to distribute to students. So they should be getting that soon. And they actually sent out an email today that was like, hey, we got the money. We're just trying to figure out how to disperse it to you guys. But I don't trust them.
No,
of
course not.
So they refunded our parking passes starting from like March 14th to the end of this semester.
But they didn't actually... They
didn't actually refund me. They just moved that money, the $75 that they owed me for my parking, into the tuition that I owed for the summer semester, which I haven't paid because there's no news on whether those classes are canceled or not.
Right.
So obviously I'm not going to pay it because if I do, they're just going to hold on to that money as a credit and use it for my fall tuition.
Right.
And who knows if I'll even be there or if the school will even exist at that point.
Right.
So basically I don't trust them with my money because they have the record of moving my money from one pocket to the next, from one of their pockets to the next one of their pockets. The class action lawsuit is because they're just refusing to refund our student services fees, which is hundreds of dollars that I paid in tuition to use the school gym, of course, to use the health services, to use like the beach pantry, which is like free groceries, to use even like their convenience store and stuff, like all these facilities that I pay for with my tuition, that every student pays for with their tuition, or in the fees that are built into the tuition. We're not getting that money back, even though none of those services are active anymore as of March 14th.
Right.
So that's money that we should get back. You know, I paid probably like $450 in fees for these services. At the very least, I should get $350 back to cover the remaining 3/4 of the semester. So they've not given any of that back or even had a single blurb about giving it back, except for the parking pass, which was fucking dumb because it's a third-party site that they channel the money through.
Right.
So it doesn't even come through them. It comes from a third-party website. So the class action lawsuit includes like all like 30 or 40 Cal State schools, and it's students coming together to sue them for their student fees back, because we need $350 right now.
Right.
It's like enough. It's enough of an incentive to file a lawsuit against the schools that have not said a single fucking peep about it. And I was reading about this on the Collegiate, which I think is the Cal State Fresno like school newspaper, and they were writing about it. And I think that hopefully they'll continue to report on it. But so basically if I can find a way to be a part of it, that would be great, because I think schools right now kind of need to cut their fucking losses, you know.
If it's a class action, you'll probably end up getting a letter about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that like the most egregious thing is just how these colleges are trying to nickel and dime you, and they're sitting on these massive endowments.
Oh, I know.
And it's like, what are those for then?
And they got a separate bailout from the government. So they got the $350 million to the Cal State system, and then they got like an additional like $10 million just for the school's funding.
Right.
So like they have enough money to fund all of the essential salaries, and they can also use some of that money to refund there's like 4,000 students, or probably way more than that at my school, but like just give us some cash back,
know. And just and take the hit and
take the hit, go under. Like if you fail, you fail, and we all don't get our degrees at your school.
Yeah.
So what?
Right. And this article kind of highlights why they do things like this.
I'm ready to abandon that. All right. This is from the New Statesman. The pandemic has made this much clear. Those running the U.S. have no idea what it costs to live here. It's almost as if these people are just so out of touch.
I know. We'll read a little bit of it.
Yeah, the complaint that politicians are out of touch with ordinary people is a cliche of U.S. politics. It's the reason presidential candidates embarrass themselves with out-of-the-ordinary trips to the grocery store during campaigns. It's the reason Donald Trump, in his inaugural address, vowed, "The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer." And it's the reason people make a big deal out of the cost of a politician's haircut. We are obsessed with the idea that the political elites are separate from the people over whom they rule. But the coronavirus pandemic has made clear that there's a grain of truth in the cliche. Namely, the people ruling this country have no idea what it costs to live in it. The most egregious example comes from Steve Mnuchin.
This is incredible.
Trump's Secretary of the Treasury. On the 25th of March, the Senate passed a $2 trillion relief package. Its measures included loans for businesses, an expansion of unemployment benefits, and direct payments of $1,200 to Americans earning up to $75,000. In a television interview on March 29th, Mnuchin said, "I think the entire package provides economic relief overall for about 10 weeks. Fuck, that interview fucking drove me mad, dude.
Yeah, and we get it. I mean, the point is, it's just like
10 yeah, right, dude.
These people haven't been poor in a long or ever or in a long time.
$1,200 will cover
my rent and my health insurance.
That's it.
Yep.
Where's the groceries? Where is fucking your dog food? Where is like any kind of thing that like any additional cost that's gone. $1,200 is gone in a month.
Not to mention people that have debt or car payment. I mean, in California, you have to have a car and a car payment.
Mm-hmm. What the fuck? 10 weeks?
Yeah, I know.
Hell no.
Let's catch up on some of these comments.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see what the last one I have.
Hell yeah. Let's do this.
And then we'll wrap on that.
Great.
So let's see here.
All right. Federal government. This is from Geo. Federal government in D.C. offers thousands of great paying jobs, positions, and contracts which party in power showers their surrogates with. If the crystal ball and progressives oust establishment Dems, they will get maybe there's a second half of that. If progressive wing ousts the Hillary shills, you'll see like a Nina Turner as ambassador to Japan instead of some pedo from Jeff Epstein's black people who donated 10 million to Clinton Foundation. I wasn't following
It's
that whole
Black,
thing.
Black Book. He's talking about the Black Book. Hero.
Oh, Black Book. I was Black Book people.
Black Book people.
I was like, Jeffrey Epstein's black people.
There were no black people in that race realists.
But it wouldn't surprise me if he owned slaves and had them work on his plantation.
I mean, he did
know?
own slaves technically.
Yeah,
were
but I
young
mean, like the
girls.
historical sense of slaves, not the modern sense of slaves.
There are still black slaves
That's true, all over the world.
in Libya.
Let's
Let's see here.
Bummer, but it's true.
Let's get
The
that.
Dallas says the finances on direct to VOD are so early, but it clearly leaves so much money on the table. Think about dates, theater acts like bars for films. Liquor stores don't kill bars. It will take a vaccine, but they will come back eventually. They serve a purpose as much as people like to shit on them.
I mean, I recognize they serve a purpose. I just think that it's just going to go the way of Blockbuster. It has to, because it's like a fucking 80-inch TV costs $11 now. So it's like I can't.
And a paperclip. It's
Right. Yeah. And yeah. So that
I mean, aren't the like conservative estimates? It'll take 18 months to get a vaccine.
that's the conservative estimate.
And we've had 6 weeks.
And then Jacob
this.
Larson says there won't be a vaccine. There are 20 different strains of the virus. Yeah, it's gonna be, and it just seems like every day they know nothing about it. There's actually a video I wanted to grab. I'll see if I can find it quickly.
Yeah, hit it up.
Um,
But like 18 months of this, they think $1,200 will last us 10 weeks. It won't. It'll last us a month, and then they'll have to give us another $1,200 and another until this is over, because none of us can work.
you can't find anything
God
that isn't mainstream
damn.
news anymore.
Anything about Trump is just so flooded,
Just
and
can
like,
find it on Twitter.
you
Hang on a
cannot find anything that is just the source. There's nothing. Oh, man, I'm starving.
second. Yeah, me too.
I'm getting hungry. I'm working up a sweat talking about all this important politics shit. Which is
I know this one's a little
so-
lackadaisical.
No, not at
we'll
all.
come
I
up with
think
one
it's
that's a
great.
little bit funnier or more interesting on Friday. But
yeah, we are okay. So what we've been doing actually, what we're planning to do is just Wednesdays and Fridays for streams, and then like intermittent maybe Animal Crossing stuff.
yeah,
Because I had fun doing that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
some more stuff to show you guys. But we'll probably move on to like I don't know. We'll just leave it at that.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is like every time you check in on the news, it's just the same
It's
story
the
every day.
same.
And so it's kind of hard to keep it interesting, even though it was kind of interesting in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, basically with that, I can't find the video, but this girl did this funny video where she like has a microphone and she's like, "Now we have found that the virus doesn't affect children, but affects some young children. So make sure to let your children outside and also keep them inside." And like, it's so how these press briefings go of just so much talking but no information.
It's like those sponsored or promoted ads that I get between stories when I'm watching them on Instagram. I get these just empty people who are promoting their personal
I don't know why you
profiles
get those. It's
and
so
say
weird.
so much, say so many words, but really mean so little.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had one, and I think I sent you a screenshot of it the other day. I think I want to read it if I can find it. It was this dude. Yeah, it was this dude posting literally a selfie. And it was captioned. You'd have to like swipe up to see what the caption was, and the caption of it was, "The most important thing you can promote is yourself, because what is the point of starting a business or trying to sell something if people do not know who you are? Everyone has their own journey," and that's THERE.
Yeah.
Their own journey, and if you support another person's journey, great. If you don't, it is okay. But understand that everyone is different. Nobody thinks the same. Nobody acts the same. Just because someone is handling something in a different way than you would, then as in THEN, than you would, does not mean you have to be a jerk. If everyone was the same, this world would be so boring. Stand out, promote yourself, and do whatever makes you happy. Thank you for saying so much with fucking a billion words with that mean nothing.
It's Mayor Pete. I mean, it's exactly how Mayor Pete talks.
Mayor Pete.
Yeah.
We must. If you're different from someone, I can't even do his voice. It's kind of Obama, but
if you're different than someone, it's kind of the same.
It's kind of the same.
If you have the virus,
yes.
you may not have the virus.
It's like,
and we all will be working towards a vaccine that is both expensive and affordable. You're like, what?
It's like these contradictory things and like this awful circular rhetoric that is just so empty, but people believe it because it sounds smart. Those I've gotten like several of those stupid ads recently, and they drive me fucking crazy. It's like, who are you? And I go to their profile, and it's all of their posts are like positivity posts that mean nothing.
Yeah, and then it's like they have
just
15 followers. I don't really understand why people promote those posts either, because it doesn't seem to garner them any kind of traction. So it's like almost like people resent you because you've been forced now to view their content.
Yeah, and who's gonna fucking want to see this?
Yeah, I mean, I understand like brands promoting something if they come up with like a unique product, obviously, but did you see that they're like literally advertising this little brass ring thing to press buttons now, like where you don't have to press them with your fingers?
No fucking way.
It's the stupidest fucking thing on the planet, but
just
if there's a market, there's a way. All right, so the last thing I want to close on is Dave Rubin wrote a book.
Oh, yes, okay, we'll do that, but there's one thing that we have to talk about before.
We'll get to Dave Rubin after this.
Fucking Kim Jong-un is dead.
He's got to be dead.
For fucking sure. Yeah. It was in the thumbnail. We have to talk about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
He's so you actually sent this to me a few days ago. Doesn't he have like some heart complications or something?
Well, number one, what I know is that surgeon's hands have been cut off. But yeah, so he had open heart surgery because he's a mess. I mean,
of course, he's not fit.
People were even noticing when Trump went across the DMZ how much Kim Jong-un was like heaving, just doing like minor walking. Yeah. So I think he's 36. It already has a heart problem, but seems to have probably died on the operating table. Probably,
but they're saying he's fine,
resuscitated, and then is probably on life support. But the weird thing is that South Korea sent in investigators and said that he's like not dead. And I trust South Korea, so I don't really know what's going on. But I think that like, unless this is some protracted. Because if he's in a vegetative state, there's no way he's coming out of it. And so I think they just accidentally auto-warmbiate him. And
oh, honey, if I was in a vegetative state, honey, I would stay in it right now. I would take a long-ass fucking nap. Wake me up when this is over.
Or he could just come out like Terry Schiavo. Like,
wake me up on my birthday.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering how like fucked up he's going to end up coming out.
Oh, honey.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And everyone's thirsty about Kim Jong-un's sister.
They're humanizing somebody who's going to be the next dictator.
Right.
It's so fucking rad.
I know. And
cool.
and like the thing is like she's going to be probably more monstrous than he was, because at least he was somewhat amenable to communication.
Let's normalize female dictators.
Yes.
That's what it is.
I know. So yeah. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated on that, because I find it interesting, and I think this is a weird position to be in, where I think it would be a shame if he died.
Interesting.
And but just because it would reset everything, even if you kind of view it as like symbolic progress, it still was something.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right, let's get into this.
Dave Rubin wrote a book, and it's exactly what you expected it to be. So you can read this quote from the book.
Yeah, known gay man, Dave Rubin. Known newfound Christian and gay man.
And the left is totally bananas.
So this is this a quote from his book?
Yes.
So here it goes. This is different. I want you to get sober through compulsive thinking. That's right, people. I want you to walk into a bar and order yourselves a full-bodied opinion. I want you to get absolutely wasted on facts until 3 a.m. And then, when you're just about ready to pass out, I want you to get another large glass of reality and chug it. I then want you to have intellectual binges that are so wild you go missing for days, eventually waking up on a stranger's sofa hungover on reality. Oh, fuck. I like almost facepalmed so hard my ear things almost came out. He is such like a monumental, dare I say it, faggot. I'm not one to use that language very often, but I feel as though from one gay person to the next, Dave, you are so fucking gay. It's just like the most like, we live in a society, bro, kind of take. It's like, go fucking chug those opinions. You may think differently than someone else, but that's okay. Everyone's different. If the world was all the same, we'd all be boring.
I think what's interesting about Dave Rubin is he truly thinks that he's an intellectual, and he's so not.
He's a simpleton. If he can be convinced to be Christian by somebody as baseline as Jordan Peterson, baseline philosopher, or modern mainstream philosopher as Jordan Peterson, it's like...
But even Jordan Peterson, I mean, it's pretty simple shit for
exactly
him to... Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is I think that like people who do deify Jordan Peterson's a good guy. I'm not shitting on him, but like, and I think he does serve a purpose for certain men, but it's like, he's not if you have intellectual curiosity, Jordan Peterson was not interesting after about the first Rogan appearance.
Right.
I'm like, I get it.
His message is very it's not, it doesn't like delineate, it's one note. Exactly.
And it's all very simple, like just if you had decent parents or if you learned from the mistakes your parents made in raising you, you already kind of know what Jordan Peterson's talking about. But I think the thing with Ruben is Ruben's like Rogan without the curiosity. It's just he doesn't push back on any guess. And neither does Joe a lot of times. But it's like, you know, it's just the interviews are way too hospitable with some of the people that he has, and so I don't know. He sucks.
Yeah, it's just what a fucking. What's the book? The book is just about cum guzzling opinions.
I think it's called. The name of the book's even fucking gay. Hang on, let me find out what it is. I think it's called Burn This. It's called Burn This Book.
Oh no! Don't burn this book.
Don't burn this.
Yeah, don't burn this book.
And he thinks he's some kind of revolution.
This is your new Bible.
And I love that, like, the people that it really did kind of expose all of them in a way of just how desperately you need to have aesthetics for your movement. And so them branding themselves the international dark web,
intellectual,
even worse. God.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
I love Joe just rejected it. He's like, what the
dork?
Intellectual dark web. Yeah.
Dork web. Yeah. They are just fucking dorks. And you know who also is a fucking dork who has a book out that I found on Amazon? It's Ben Shapiro's How to Debate Leftists and Destroy Them. I don't know how I stumbled upon it. I just saw it. I really don't remember. Maybe it was like an ad or something. I was like, this cannot be real. And it's fucking real.
It's because they just have no self-awareness, which is why that when he wrote nonfiction, it was basically gay fanfic. And just exposed.
He so wanted to fuck and be his protagonist.
What was the name of the protagonist? Was so fucking hilarious.
It was like
Ben Shapiro,
Brad Hawk, or like
it's something that bad. Non-fiction.
No, it's fiction.
Sorry.
Fiction. Because he wrote.
Let's see if I can find True Allegiance.
True Allegiance.
Okay, let me see. I want to find the description of it.
America is coming apart. An illegal immigration crisis has broken out along America's southern border. There are race riots in Detroit. A fiery female rancher turned militia leader has vowed revenge on the president for his arrogant policies. And the world's most notorious terrorist is planning a massive attack that could destroy the United States as we know it. Meanwhile, the president is too consumed by legacy seeking to see our country's deep peril. Brett Hawthorne is the youngest general in the United States Army, and he's stuck alone behind enemy lines in Afghanistan. He's the last soldier of a failed war fighting to stay alive and make it back home. But will he be able to stop the collapse of America in time?
Brett Hawthorne.
It's just like, what a fucking dork.
Yeah.
He wishes he was this dude. He wishes he served in the military. He wishes he was the singular man who could change the course of history.
I mean, that's the funny thing about the book is that when he described, because Chapo, in one of their few funny moments to me, they were just reading this book, and it was so evident that Brett Hawthorne was who Ben wishes he was.
Yeah.
And I think
glistening muscles, tan.
Yeah, and then and then there's like the Detroit character is this black mayor who's corrupt, and I think and there's also some black kids involved in it, and he named the black kid Kendrick Malone, which is so proof that the only two rappers he's aware of are Post Malone and Kendrick Lamar. So he named the kid Kendrick Malone.
That is so embarrassing.
Because Ben's never had a black friend in his whole life.
That makes me want to guzzle an entire fifth of vodka.
I mean, down for that. He says Ben Shapiro only releases books so he can stand on them to kiss his wife.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's fucking good. He just had a baby. Imagine having a fucking baby right now. I hope his family is kind of stressed out. I hope they're mildly stressed out.
He doesn't bother me. I think it's because like you know what it is about him is like I'm almost glad that he's had the success that he's had, because can you imagine how mercilessly bullied he was?
Oh yeah,
it would have been just intense.
He's been such a dork,
and he's like 4'3", like now, and so there's just his life was not fun up until he married hopefully a hot wife, right. And his sister's hot, so I'm sure that he also didn't get as much attention as she did. She's got big old.
She's an opera singer. She's got a
milkers.
talent.
Yeah,
you know,
big old juicy.
She's probably
G-tits.
also really smart. Yeah, she's got big milkers.
Yeah.
And
Ben's smart. I mean, that's the thing is like people try to like say he's stupid, and I'm like, dude, he graduated Harvard at like 21.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's
and he
not
wrote like a fucking book by. I think he wrote like 2 books by like 17 or something.
Yeah. I mean, in
Or
terms of like
21,
just
I
the
don't
kind
remember.
of the basic conception of what intelligence is, he definitely meets the criteria. But
Yeah.
But self-awareness is part of that, and he has.
And
none,
look,
so.
I want to clarify. You can be to be a short king. You also have to be a good person. Like
Yeah.
if you're short, we'll make fun of you for being short. If you're kind of a dork and kind of a jerk as well.
Well, you are the representative for short kings.
You gotta be. You can be short, but you have to be good to be a short king.
You're a representative
you know?
for short kings and Latin kings.
Absolutely, just like Armin Rizzo.
According to WHO, Ben Shapiro is 5'9". Yeah.
And of course, we all know the WHO is the most trustworthy.
Yeah, China's boosting Ben's height numbers. That's it though. I need to.
Yeah,
Put
I need
something
to
in my
eat.
face hole.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, we'll see you Friday.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This is all wrong. That's no good. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams. That's no good. How dare you?
Das Rotbasket.